How to run longer without getting so tired. This was a question that I always wanted to have answered when I started running. I didn't know. I started to look online and then I said, what if I worked my way to a point where I could answer this question? So over the last 9 years, I think I have an idea. Specifically what helps me run longer and not get so tired. Whether you're training for a 10K, 5K, half marathon, marathon, or an ultra marathon, you always have a goal of being able to achieve that desired result. Whether it's a PR, whether it's I just want to be able to finish the race, or I want to make memories along the way. Here are 3 things that I think helped me be able to run longer without getting so tired. The number one, if you've been following my channel, is heart rate training. Heart rate training has allowed me to understand what my body is able to do. Like, before I started using heart rate training, I used to go out and run whatever pace I thought was going to be easy, but I didn't know what easy was until I understood heart rates. Then things changed, and as I focused on heart rate training, Maffetone method, Kevarvin, rate of perceived effort, you know, all of these things kind of came into view.
Running isn't easy. It's not something that you can just do off the cuff. I mean, it takes time. Running a marathon is not easy, nor is a half marathon. I mean, working your way up to 10K will certainly take some time. But the thing is you just got to put your head down and come up with your plan. You're doing this for you and nobody else. So to be able to run further, it's all on you.
The next thing that really helped me in my pursuit to run longer without getting so tired was my cadence. Focusing on how many steps I take. Now I know some people talk about getting a metrodome, where it kind of clicks, like you can get an app and it goes da, 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 and then that is matched with the pace that you run, or you can look at it on your watch. Now I tend to look at it on my watch. I'm about 175 to 180 steps per minute. That's my cadence. And so when I started to feel like I was slowing down, my cadence would start to slow down. So I thought, well, if I can kind of keep my cadence up, maybe I can still keep covering further distance. And it looked kind of silly, but it worked. Now you can use a metrodome, and that would help if you're just kind of starting out. But test it to what it is at the beginning and what it is when you're finishing your long run, and you can see what's going on. The next thing I considered was when I started to slow down, my cadence was breaking down because my legs were fatiguing. I felt stiff. It was just, you know, I didn't like it. So what I started to do was incorporate some run walks in there and maybe do some air squats, because it kind of loosens things up a little bit for me. As much as I wanted to keep running, I realized that if I was going to be able to keep pushing further and further each week, I needed to figure something out. So I started to do this, adding a little bit of walk breaks into my run, and then seriously just doing some air squats. That way I can kind of loosen up a little bit, right? Maybe some dynamic leg swings, you know, just find a post on the street like this. All right, maybe do some leg swings. I don't know if you can even see, but anyways, just some of those. And then it gave me an opportunity to kind of just sit with myself for a minute, gather my thoughts and feelings. And then if my heart rate was starting to go a little too high, it gave it the ability to kind of cool down a little bit. Just bring it back down and then kind of start again. So as I did this over the months, you know, I really started to feel like I was getting further, you know, and it put a smile on my face because I wanted to keep doing it. And if I was going to run a marathon, I knew that some of these things couldn't stay the same. I couldn't be breaking down later on in the race. I needed to kind of continue to improve, to continue to push further. And the next thing I would say that helped me run longer without getting so tired was anytime that I approached a hill, I would slow down and I would walk just like this. Even if it was just a little bit. Just because I wanted to kind of save my heart rate. I didn't want it to spike. I didn't want it to be kind of running away. I had to bring it back down and just walk. And by doing so, it gave me the confidence that when I would approach a hill, I could walk. Yes, people would pass me in a race, but when I got to the top, I could then start running again, and then I would start passing everybody who was suffering at the top because they had run up this whole entire hill and they were spent when they get to the top of it. Now again, just depends on how big it is, but in the Toronto marathon or half marathon that I ran a couple of years ago, that's exactly what happened. And it turned out to be a good thing for me. So don't be ashamed of walking hills just to be able to keep your heart rate low, or if your legs are getting tired, just give it a little bit of a time out, a little bit of a break. Do some dynamic stretching, do those air squats, just kind of opens, you know, it just opens everything up, right? Like just limbers it up. You feel better because you're not doing the same repetitive motion. You are doing the repetitive motion over and over again with running. It's just nice to kind of break that up a little bit. Now this one here seems to be a little bit of a no-brainer, but most of us runners, we don't do enough of it, right? We're not drinking enough water, enough electrolytes. We dehydrate. As we dehydrate, our blood gets thicker. As our blood gets thicker, it's harder to pump through our body. It raises the heart rate more, so that way it can get the blood going through where it needs to go through. But we as runners neglect that. Not on purpose. We think we're drinking, but we're not drinking enough of the right thing. You could be drinking too much water and not enough electrolytes. Just depends on what kind of person you are. If you're a salty sweater, then yeah, you got to make sure that your salt intake is there. If not, you're going to hit that wall, and then you're going to end up walking the remainder of your half marathon or marathon. I don't think you have to worry about doing that in a 10K, but you know, it's a thing when you go further. So understanding these things that I've spoken about has made a big difference in me as a runner, to make sure that I could push the envelope to go a little bit further and just not get so tired. The next thing goes without saying, really, but I'm going to tell you the story. So a number of years ago, I was trying to get back into running. I was trying everything I could to bring my heart rate down. I was trying everything I could to lose the weight. And this is what I discovered. As I continued to run, as I continued to lose weight, And as I continued to run consistency with the miles, you know, it started to have a profound effect on me. Firstly, I had never run as much as I had run in that year, in those months. You know, 1 month I was over, well, it's a couple of months, I was over 500 kilometers. So that's like something like 350, something like that. Well, 350 miles, I'll put it up there on the screen. But consistency, weight loss, time on my feet were pivotal moments where everything changed. When I focused on that, man oh man, I was able to run further and longer than I'd ever run in my life. And at the end of that year, I ran an ultra marathon. So what are you trying to achieve? Let me know in the comments below. I was able to run longer and further and not get so tired because of all of these things I talked about. And the one remaining thing that I will say is because I decided that I wanted to be able to do it. I wanted to go further. And so by changing my mindset, coming up with a goal, and then running mile after mile, and increasing at least 10% my long run each week, I was able to get there. Yeah, it wasn't always 10%, sometimes 15, just all depends. But I listened to my body. I allowed my heart rate to dictate what I did. I looked at the hills and decided I'd walk them. Stayed hydrated. I tried to keep my cadence between 175 and 180. It wasn't always the case, but I did my best. And as the weight came off, the more consistent I was, everything kind of just clicked and I was able to do it. So I don't know about you, I don't know what you're trying to achieve, but if you want to go longer and not get so tired by running a marathon or a half marathon or an ultra, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, just be consistent. And then talking about consistency, that's what I'm doing on my YouTube channel as well. Just trying to be consistent, not getting stuck in the dip like I talked about in this video. And if you haven't seen that video, I would recommend, if you're struggling, watch this one right here. It'll help you. Like I always say, get out and run.